actually boosted my confidence right there. I didn't know I was a seasoned something. So welcome everyone to our first event of the year. The year ahead, I have witnessed a couple of interesting topics from Charles Washika, and just before we've had Nyabuto from M. Zawadi with really interesting points. So I'm here with seasoned professionals, like Diana said, in the hybrid and cloud environment. So I'll maybe like them to introduce themselves because I'm not sure I know them as much as they know themselves. And like we always say, ladies first. So please, if you'll do the honors of introducing yourself and what you do.
Thank you very much. My name is Josephine Kafura. I am the Business Development Manager at Savako Kenya. And Savako, we are a service provider for infrastructure. We are in Central Asia, and now we are currently also in Kenya. And it's a pleasure to be here today.
All right, thank you, thank you. Moving on to you, sir.
Hi, good morning all, and my dear panelists. My name is Peter Mushami. I'm the CEO and co-founder of FIDHL. At FIDHL, we offer a cloud payroll and HR platform, and also a casual payments platform for SMEs in Kenya. In addition to that, I'm also a cloud evangelist, so I make sure the word goes and goes and goes. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Peter. Moving on to my left-hand side, start with you.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. I'm Duncan Eric Ugonji, Regional Director, IT with Plan International. Looking forward to such a great discussion, having listened to Washika, who gave a lot of justice to AI. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Lastly, but not least.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Name is Wilkins Kimori. I come from China Mobile International. Essentially, China Mobile is a carrier of carriers. We work closely with telcos across the continent to be able to provide to them traditional products, fast international data, A2P, voice, but we also provide for them emerging technologies, so your cloud, your IoT, your AI. And so what I do day to day is mostly talking to these telcos and introducing to them full-fledged solutions from data all the way to AI, cloud, and the likes. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. Now, bringing it back to you, Wilkins, and the rest of the panelists. We all know, I think all of us here on this panel, we all know the importance and the advantage of moving to the hybrid and multi-cloud deployment to companies. But then again, so in this year and age, in 2024, we know about the flexibility, the scalability, these advantages of the cloud. But then, according to each and every one of you, what power of the cloud hasn't been unlocked yet, and maybe how can we unlock it in 2024 as we move forward and try to build also the cloud as well?
Okay. Thank you very much. Good question. So looking at the conversation across the continent, particularly on hybrid cloud, this essentially refers to the seamless integration of on-prem cloud as well as the public cloud. And the advantages, as you said, include flexibility, the scalability, and also security, which is really key. And it's a conversation that's being had across the continent. There is a need for us to have localization of most of this data. You go to a number of these countries and you realize guys are urging that we don't need our data to be taken out of the country to be processed. We'd prefer for that data to be processed locally and for it to be stored locally and for it to be used locally. Because as we say right now, data is king, and this is becoming more apparent with AI. So one of the really key areas that I think the continent can grow is in localizing its data and tapping into the data that we already have existing across the whole continent and using it to enhance the different machine models that we have. We live in an age of text generation, image generation, LLMs and the likes. And so it's really key to be able to tap into all this data within the continent and be able to get sufficient content that can actually be used by different people across the continent. And to do this, I believe it's really key that we have a collaboration across all the sectors. So government with the ICT sector, the regulators across the continent, as well as private players who are setting up different nodes everywhere across the whole continent, as well as also individual enterprises and startups who can be able to tap into all this and be able to create solutions that can be able to push the continent further. Yeah.
So localization of this data and having it here so that we can analyze it and benefit it from it as a country. Maybe
Exactly. Yeah.
Peter, what's your thought on that? What
All right, thank you. I think this is a very interesting topic, and personally, as a cloud evangelist, I'm always looking forward to what is happening in the cloud space. So, to add on what that's been said about data localization, there's an issue we call data compliance. And currently, I remember last year I was trying to register with ODPP. So one of the requirements is in particular fields, like in fintech, part of your data has to be sitting in your local country on your jurisdiction. So in case you are only using public cloud, then you'll not be able to achieve that. So we see that hybrid architecture will help you achieve that. And to add, from my perspective, you also need to look at on-premise because of issues like currency devaluation. You know, I've seen this conversation happening in the startup ecosystem whereby maybe in the last 1 or 2 years, someone was spending $1,000 to pay cloud servers. But currently, what's the value of $1 to Kenya shillings? It's around 160. So that means the costs have almost doubled. So one of the issues is cost optimization, whereby if you adopt a hybrid architecture, then you're going to maybe move some non-critical aspects of your infrastructure on premise so that you don't spend a lot of money. So that means you'll cut on cost.
with more focus also on premise. Yeah, so maybe Josephine, in your opinion, maybe what do you think is the advantage that hasn't been fully realized in terms of a hybrid cloud deployment?
I think mostly it's the reliability of having a hybrid setup. Maybe I can give an example with betting companies or gamings, online games and stuff like that. So with gaming companies, you will need a very stable setup, something that can never really go down. So most of them, you'd find that they will have a hybrid setup. That means that they have a cloud solution and also physical server in their premises. So this has made them more reliable as well. And as my panelists have also mentioned, there's also that part of having everything sitting locally and also making sure that we have that part of pricing. You know that you have your cost as well. There's a predictable cost of your infrastructure because as an IT department, you are not given that much budget, to be honest, in many companies because it's not a department that brings in the money. It's a department that takes out the money from the company. So most companies will try to withhold the IT budget. So having a hybrid setup makes it very easy to make sure that we have a cost optimization, we have a reliable network, and also it gives us an advantage that you can access your data quickly. There's that seamless transition of data. So when you have a hybrid setup, it's very immediate to get your information as compared to other setups. So I would really and where the country or where the world is going right now, especially those people who are on premise, they're trying now to adapt cloud. And we agree that change is quite difficult for most people. So they're trying to see, can we still have both? And then we see how it works. So that's how some are still on a hybrid setup, just to test the waters as well.
A very good point there on cost optimization and from Peter as well. So maybe moving to you, Duncan. What is the power? What, in your opinion, do you think is the power of cloud that hasn't been unlocked yet in this age and time?
Thank you very much, Kevin. And probably I may give it a different approach, looking at it from, you see, the drivers. As a business, and every business, irrespective of the sector, they always give a lot of, focus on the business demands, basically emanating from the customers, and also the other wing, more the regulatory component. So technology is evolving, and there's a lot of rapid change. And what happens? Every organization, especially those for profit, would always want to remain competitive and stay at the edge. And back to the discussion, and also from that background, that there's a demand from the business to be able to ensure the customer, they want services or solutions be, very fast. Within the banking sector, for example, a bank would be able to want to launch a product, have a very seamless and robust environment that they can be able to test and bring it out to the market ahead of the competition. And the cloud now, especially the hybrid setup, comes in handy to be able to help such organizations to achieve that. But another component that I probably just can look at, that needs, even moving forward, that we need to be given a lot of focus, is around the interoperability, because you see, the business demands may drive an organization to have more than 3 or 2 players of the cloud solution, for example. And if there's no proper structure to allow the data movement or data exchange between these different cloud platforms, then it becomes a hindrance to the business growth, and therefore a potential, an area that still needs, I call it the standards that governs all the players globally. A lot of enhancements may still need to be made to avoid, you see, a particular cloud or provider locking the customer. So if your business demands require that you need to have 3 or more players, because you want to also spread the risk, then the ability to be able to allow data exchange across these platforms will be very key, and an area that needs also to be unlocked to be able to help growth, bring growth to the business environment.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you for that, Duncan. And we are now looking at the year ahead, because we are only the first day of February, and we have a whole year. Last year we had artificial intelligence. That was one of the most IT talked about topics globally. Now, maybe to the cloud evangelist, looking at the year ahead, and what do you see as your prediction in terms of cloud? And will we see more companies adapting to the multi-cloud, or the hybrid environment, or most companies will be looking to move into a fully cloud environment?
All right. Thank you. I see that is already happening, because, like I mentioned, I've seen founders already having that conversation, because looking at the dry spell of funding that was there last year, it means a lot of founders don't have money to spend on IT infrastructure. So what you're going to see more is a lot of cloud players coming into the local market. Actually, yesterday, one of the biggest player announced that they are going to launch their data centers in Kenya. So that is one of the things that you're going to see, so that they can manage their cost, because when the cost is in dollars, then it means you don't have control. So another thing I see is in terms of AI, we're going to see a lot of generative AI being used on our normal applications and on cloud.
Yeah.
For example, that is also something we are considering on our FIDHR platform. So some of these things, and also just to add on in terms of tech requirements, we're going to see a very high demand of DevOps. People who are able to do architecture that can have a multi-cloud or hybrid cloud application setup.
Okay. So Wilkins, you talked about the importance of localization of data in a hybrid environment. So how do you envision? Do you see more companies trying to coming in and localizing their data in 2024?
Okay. Yeah. So partly I'd argue that hybrid is still here to stay, depending on the amount of data you're consuming or you're processing and the kind of data that you're dealing with. Some sensitive data will have to remain on-prem. But there's still also, as he's mentioned, a number of key players who are coming into the region and particularly into the country. Kenya is positioning itself as a hub for the rest of the continent.
Yeah.
So many Eastern players are coming in. We have Ali Cloud is coming in strongly. We have Tencent. We have Huawei Cloud. We also have specialized tools based on the cloud, such as Zoho, who are coming with user-specific solutions that they can be able to sell to startups and enterprises in and within the region. And the beauty about this is that they're able to not just localize the tools for the region and for the specific country, but they're also able to charge you in a local currency. So, for example, I go to Malawi and I have a conversation, whether with the CTO or an account manager of one of the enterprise businesses there.
Yeah.
So he tells me, hey, I need this service. I need cloud. My enterprise customers need this service because I'm giving them connectivity, but I also need to add a solution on top.
Yes.
But I can only charge them in kwacha. So why should I pay you in USD? Why should I pay you as my supplier the same service in USD? It's very difficult for you to have that conversation. What will be the conversion rate? What will be the total amount throughout a year with the currency fluctuating every now and then? But bringing these solutions to the local country, to the specific region, allows us to be able to actually charge you in a local currency. And I've seen this work even in our own case scenarios, and I've seen it work even in our own places. So this is going to grow over the next year.
Yeah. And maybe Duncan, how do you envision 2024 in terms of hybrid cloud and maybe companies moving fully cloud?
Thank you very much. Very good question. I look at it in three different ways. It's the last year we saw a lot of collaboration. So, in terms of collaboration among the technology players or the cloud players, we saw Microsoft and Oracle coming together to be able to say, look, you've already invested in Oracle database, that you can still have it on Azure cloud and all that. So in 2024, you're going to see more of such collaborations because of the driver I talked about. The business demands are changing. So as a result, you're going to see these players coming back together and say, look, how can we, because the focus now is going to be the customer, we need to make the customer happy. We need to ensure the customer achieve their business requirements. So that's number two. Around regulation, we are seeing in 2024, there's a trend. A regulator that is also more tech savvy, understands this emerging technology and all that. And so as a result, there's a bit of enhancement of the policies to be able to ensure that they don't put barriers to the business
and they accommodate the technology as well.
Exactly. So there's that. The regulators also trying to. They'll be really trying to ensure they keep that balance, because before it was like it has to be A and then A without coming to the table and be able to negotiate. Look, how does it also impact on the business? Yeah. And then thirdly, in terms of the strategy and the CIOs. In 2024, you're going to see a lot of change where CIOs will, sit on the same table at the decision-making level, because we are seeing also a very a board that is more aware of the emerging technologies, and even today, regulators are also pushing that you need to either once a quarter or so. The board needs to be, that kind of go through a training and awareness of cybersecurity, the AI and all that sort. So you're going to see a lot of that happening in 2024, where the board get more trained or made more aware of these emerging technologies, so that they see how they can be able to, in terms of the decisions that they make, be able to help in the adoption. And also CIOs getting now that strategic seat at that executive level. So and looking forward to seeing a very robust environment. And I think finally, Menshi talked about the DevOps, and you're also going to see a lot of also institutions, because in the recent past, mostly like the universities and all that have been kind of left behind with very old syllabus and content and all that. And we're seeing a lot, because we've seen a kind of engagement. They kept trying to also link with the big players, so that they have very content or syllabus that is technology ready or response to the current demands of the industry. Thank you.
All right. That's quite some insights there, Duncan. And so, lastly, Josephine, how are you seeing the future in 2024 in terms of cloud? Do you think companies are going to be going to fully cloud, or are we going to see more of hybrid setups?
Thank you. So even as Savako, as a company, is something that we've talked about, and we've seen how the trends have been in the market right now. As you can see, if you've noticed that most players have come to Kenya. As my panelist has said, there's also a company that just decided to set up in Kenya as well.
Yeah.
And more players are also setting up in Kenya, mainly because we can see there's a plan that the government already has. Actually, the government has been very supportive in the tech industry, and they are very inclusive as well. We're trying to see that we are opening up more opportunities for tech companies to come and set up, because we are seeing where the world is going to moving forward.
Yeah.
Nairobi, maybe Kenya is going to be a hub in Africa in the next couple of years. It's going to be a hub of tech in the next couple of years, because we're trying to see how technology has been embraced. And as much as people want to embrace cloud as well, moving completely to cloud, sometimes it's a process. So hybrid is the next best solution. So we can have both on-prem and cloud solution setups. And now that's how we call it hybrid. And see, in the couple of 2024, most people will now embrace that kind of setup for their own companies. But by the end of the day, you'll have to realize that companies come to decide what kind of setup they will need. They'll have to reevaluate what their business requirements are, because my company would be very different from his company, because
Yeah.
our requirements are different, our needs
Sure.
are different. Our financial muscles are also very different. Our tech team is also very different. Do we have the financial skill set, the IT skill set to be able to manage it internally? Do we need to outsource that solution? So by the end of the day, you'll have to realize that with different requirements for each business, then now that is when our business is going to come in and say, no, okay, yeah, we'll need a hybrid setup, we'll need a cloud setup, we'll need an on-premise setup. So by the end of the day, we'll just have to work with our customers and also be able to advise, then this is the solution you'll require. And a hybrid setup right now is a very good way to go, especially for people who are not pro-change, especially those companies that feel like us moving to the cloud is too risky and stuff like that. So yeah, so
And it's,
from my opinion, hybrid is here to stay forward.
yeah, and it's the advisable solution for any company that's
Correct.
okay. So maybe now just give I think we have like 2 minutes to each of our panelists, because we are looking at the year ahead. We are looking at technology and not just hybrid or the cloud, but there's a lot that's happening in the tech world. A lot happened in 2023. Some things we could have predicted, some things we could not have predicted. So maybe just as a parting shot, and I think I'll start with you, Duncan. What are your predictions for 2024 in terms of technology? And maybe next year we'll have a sit here and look who had the correct prediction. Okay, Duncan.
Thank you very much. And is open today, so but that still put it as one of the prediction for 2024. And a number of speakers spoken to that. Charles gave a lot of justice to that. AI, still last year we talked about that, and is coming out big. We're going to see a lot of adoption. Of course, will also come with a number of challenges. People will try to also to push back and all that. But we are at that stage where its time has come. So we are going to see adoption of AI. A number of companies will try to give it a trial. And then number two, we are going to experience a lot, and that's why organizations need to really get ready. A lot of cyber attack activities. Reason being because technology is emerging. Today, you don't need to be a hacker to hack a system, because you can be able to also buy. You can hire a hacker, hacking as a service.
Yeah.
And you see, Charles also talked about the hackers are also trying to use generative AI. So then it's a good thing, also bad at the same time. Good because it's going to make most of organizations more open and be able to bring in more technology that can be able to ensure that they are protected. And in terms of also the people, they'll ensure that their people are well trained, well equipped to be able to help bring counterattack some of the number of attacks we're going to see. So as technology expands, this emerging solution adoption happening, then it will be able to open up also companies for such kind of attack, and therefore we are going to see a lot of investment in cyber, a lot of change in terms of in the budget for IT budgets. A bigger percentage you'll see that go to the cyber security component, and yes, then finally also I'm seeing a lot of in terms of the manpower, people, within East Africa and Kenya, to be specific.
Yeah.
A lot of experts, because of that anger to be able to match up to the changing trend, this new technology coming up. So I'm seeing a lot of skill in terms, because before I've talked about we lack a number of experts on cybersecurity, but across cloud, cybersecurity, DevOps, DevSecOps, and all that, you're going to see a lot of that skill kind of going up in 2024 to be able to match, because the opportunities are also going to open, especially within the region. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Maybe moving on to you, Wilkins. What are your predictions for 2024, technology-wise?
Yeah, interesting. You're asking me to be a prophet.
Yeah.
For tech. I'm tempted to go out on a limb here and say VR headsets, now that they launched the other day.
Yeah.
But I'd probably emphasize on the devices end. We're going to see more people buying more capable devices. So your smartphones, your tablets, and your laptops. As most players are seeking for a way to actually make these things affordable and looking for different ways to avail these things to the end customers, the end users. That's probably number one. Number two is, as he's mentioned, AI is going to be birthed in Africa. I know it's growing, it's maturing across the whole of the world, but in Africa now it's going to be fully birthed this year. And what's going to happen is that you're going to get very particular solutions, very tailor-made solutions, where people tap into existing models that have worked across other regions in the globe, but now being used to provide solutions in and within the continent. So AI is going to be initially birthed and then maturity as we go by in the years. And then finally, also on cybersecurity, it's going to be a main talking point across the continent. With the data being localized, there's a need for us to enhance the security around it, because guys will now try to be looking for ways to actually access it and use it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
So that conversation is going to be enhanced and grow with all these stakeholders being brought together, your regulators, your ICT players, the private players, the government, all these people being brought together to find solutions in and around protecting our data across the continent.
Thank you. Moving on to Josephine. What are your... Will you be our prophetess?
Yes. I can't emphasize further from what my colleagues here have said, AI.
Yeah.
So I will not even talk about that.
Yeah.
But I just want to say that as more and more companies come into the country to offer more solutions, we'll see people changing. We'll see the ways companies are used to having their ways, IT tech mostly, their modern ways. They will change. They'll start to embrace new solutions, because to be honest, the way we used to work 5 years ago is very different. So IT is one of the industry that keeps evolving quite fast. So even this year, we expect more change in the industry, and as we've mentioned, localization, having your data sitting locally is even cheaper than having it sitting outside elsewhere. So they will want to have cheaper options that are still reliable, still, scalable, still dependable for their environment. So we'll see more companies looking for solutions that are suitable for their business. So I'm actually expecting people to change, to do more hybrid setup, more cloud setups. And I've said at Savaco, that is something that we are looking forward to, actually. Yes.
All right. Lastly, Peter.
All right. I think for me, every company will be a tech company, literally. Every company. Think of a hospital. How can they use generative AI for prescription?
Yeah.
A doctor just types some symptoms,
Yeah.
and then the model, because of course ChatGPT has developed models that can be specific to a particular field. So you just type the symptoms and then gives you the prescription automatically. Look at end users through apps. So I also see an increased adoption of software as a service. I'm in that space, and with the increase of adoption of cloud, that means people will be more secure, or rather, they'll feel more safe to adopt technology. And from the perspective of yes, Peter, you come with your cloud solution, but where do we store our data? You know, then it means I have a solution. You can store the data you don't want me to see on premise, and the data you can expose to cloud on cloud. So that means they will be more willing to even pay for software as a service solutions.
All right, thank you. I see everyone is optimistic about AI, and actually I agree. And in the first session, Charles Washika was also talking about he's big on generative AI, and it's something that's going to be big in 2024. So as before I lay it over to Ian, maybe as my prediction, I think something that's going to be big. I believe all of this revolves around security, and the more we move to the cloud, the more we expose our data, the more we use as many services, we expose ourselves to risk. And I think that's something that is going to be big in 2024. Kenya last year already we encountered a few instances where we saw what it could do if we just get like one small attack in one company. It can really affect a lot of things, and I think more companies are going to be looking to put their money into security. Even as you scale into the hybrid, you also need to look at how am I safe. So thank you guys, thank you our viewers. I think if you have questions, you can maybe just type them on the chat, and we will respond to you on the chat as well, because I'm handing it over to Ian. And yeah, have a good day, and good month and good year ahead. Thank you guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.